Welcome to Max's Models. I'm Max. Hey, Glue Troopers, Max here, and I have been working my fingers to the bone out in the Tarvis, getting a bunch of projects that are going to be ready for later in the month. On a lot of them on kit models of Army rockets and missiles and World War I fighter planes, and I also dragged out that Silvervogel because I want to try some of that metalizer paint, that SMS paint that was just sent to me. And I have read all the instructions and everything, so I'm looking forward to that. I also, of course, have to get started on the wood chip. I keep saying, I'm going to get started on this. I've got it laid out, and I do. But the Tarvis is still in a pretty bad state of disarray. I got to get my workstations cleaned up, so I've got some room. I swear, trying to organize the clutter is I feel like Sisyphus constantly pushing the rock up the hill, but I imagine we're all in that situation. I watch some of these guys on YouTube that have these perfect clean and organized workshops, and for my money, that's a sign of a sick mind. But I am working on those comparison videos, mostly 1/72nd scale, and World War I aircraft, and there are one or two little things I'm just going to ask. Now, first off, these are both supposed to be 1/72nd scale, and to paraphrase Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the other. So I'm going to go work out the wingspan and body length of a Fokker Eindecker and a Fokker DR1 and see just how far off these are, if they're accurate. I mean, I know the Fokker triplane had shorter wings because it's had technically 3.5 of them because you had that airfoil between the wheels, or 3 1/3 of them. But this looks a little small, and I know it also was short coupled, but still, maybe that is the right scale. The cockpit looks like it'd fit either pilot, but comparison videos will be coming out. Oh my gosh, this stuff probably won't start coming out till the end of the third week of next month. But well, I guess now it's this month. I'm sorry. That's right, and Happy July, everybody. Of course, July 4th is coming up for all of us Americans. It's the big 250th anniversary. So I'm going to see if I can put together some sort of special video. Model American. I have been really busy, and so far I'm a little shocked at some of the results I've gotten. Well, I don't know what to use the word shocked. I'm surprised how well some of these little Revell kits have held up over time. I mean, there's a lot to get into. I'll cover it in more detail when I get into the relative comparison videos, but I got to give Revell credit. Their little kits are holding up pretty well. I'm also trying to figure out where I'm going to start working on that B25. Again, physical size. That's why I got to clear off the big table. Otherwise, there's just not going to... I feel like I'm doing surgery on a whale. But I am looking forward to it. One thing I'm learning is just because decals are new doesn't necessarily mean they're that great. On the Airfix Eindecker, the kit was probably pressed about 8 years ago. The decals were in excellent shape, but as soon as I touched the Dremel to try and drill out some holes for the rigging, I got, flakes and cracks, and I was like, kind of disappointed with modern decals. But I don't know. You know what? If you're going to... I thought about trying to pre-drill the holes in the decal first, but you never get it quite right. I suppose what I should have done was, while the decal was still on the paper, gone ahead and just held it firmly in place and run a needle through the hole to poke a hole in the paper. That probably would have worked. But it just seems like every time I try to the old carpenter's rule, measure twice, cut once, but it seems like every time I do that, I still manage to get the thing a little bit out of place. And as we all know, on models, especially at 1/72nd scale, fractions of a millimeter matter. But I have been working hard on it, and of course I'm having a good time. Been using the airbrush a lot lately. Still rattle canning some things, but a lot of times the airbrush is just such a nicer job, right up until it doesn't. Now, I did manage to set a land endurance record. Normally I have learned that the relative elasticity of a various company's styrene is one factor in determining how far it will bounce when you drop a piece. But also we have to take into account mass. Normally, featherweight parts don't drop that far. But the other day I was trimming off the control column for the Eindecker, which is a tiny lightweight piece of plastic. And I was holding my hand over it so it couldn't get away from me, and little snip and little snip, and there wasn't any twang or any action, but the part was simply gone. It wasn't on the table, it wasn't stuck to the runner tree, it wasn't on the tool, it wasn't on my hand. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Now, as light as it was, it's possible that my breath bouncing off the table might have done something, but it should have touched down here, and I found it here a good 3-4 feet away. For a part that essentially weighs nothing, that's a heck of a lot of ground to cover. It didn't dawn on me my breath might have done it, because there's just no way that thing could have bounced that far. Ricochet Rabbit had nothing on this part, for those of you who are familiar with that particular cartoon character. But that's model building. Yeah, the funny thing was is they always say, you find the piece when you just quit looking for it and then it shows up. I was right on the edge of quitting to look for it. It's like, okay, that's it. And then my eye just caught it. So that almost applied. It's not an immutable rule of the universe, but it's close. Well, there's really not a whole lot else going on right now. I don't want to give too much away because I'm putting these videos together to make this video series. And that's, if I start talking about it too much now, although the orange camel, yeah, that was a thing. I was wondering about that paint scheme. I picked it because it was relatively straightforward, easy to do on a 1/72nd scale model. And then I realized, I'll bet they did that so if the plane went in the water, it was easier to find, which would show me that those aviators are understandably more worried about the ocean than they were about the Germans. And I can't really say as I blame them. Military aviation. Oh, it looks so glamorous, but as my brother said after years as an Air Force navigator, it's not glamorous. It's hot, smelly, sweaty, and dangerous. Reminds me of an old joke. This guy used to load the poison in the crop dusters, and at the end of the day, he'd come to this local bar, and of course the smell of all that poison just emptied the place. Finally, the bartender was losing business to him, so he goes, man, why don't you find a better job? And the guy goes, what, and give up aviation? Well, that's all I really got for right now. Just a little quick video to let you guys know I'm still alive and still working on models. The reason I haven't put out more content of what I'm doing is because most of what I'm doing is geared towards this project. However, I'm going to have some side projects, hopefully, in the interim time that I can do like daily reports on. That's actually what I want to do with the B-25 as soon as I can clear out my workstation and make room for that beast. It's going to be impressive, though. All right, guys, we'll talk to you later. Take care of yourselves. And as always, model on.